So actually, I'm one of two directors for Stay Calm, and the other director came to me with an idea for a concept where everyone has some sort of an illness or virus that's triggered based on adrenaline spikes. And that's kind of what triggers you into sort of a zombie state. And I thought, that's cool. And then I'm at the time I was, and still am, but at the time I was really nerding out on Zen Buddhism. And I was like, okay, well, what if we make this sort of like a mindfulness exercise? So we have the virus, but really they have to practice their breathing and things like yoga and what have you, and practice their mindfulness. And that's sort of the overarching theme of it is I convinced him to say, you need to be able to practice mindfulness in a chaotic world.
I just want to start by thanking MindField for having us and screening our films, and it's been a pleasure watching these films all day. And and Stay Calm is awesome. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. So Poems is a long journey. We basically grew up in the Texas Hill Country, and right out of film school, I had a buddy who approached me saying, my ranch house would be a great space for a scary movie. It started with a short film almost a decade ago. And then as the concept was kind of evolving, through that time, I have a depression through my family, myself suffer with that, and everyone deals with some amount of depression in their lives. And so we really started to tailor the character and the vibe of the whole thing as a concentration on dealing with depression and grief and loss and what isolation can do, and then trying to portray that visually, and see if we can say something with it as an experiment. And we had, like I said, fresh out of film school, so we had no money, absolutely none, and we never did throughout the course of making this project. So it was, you really are basically, there's film school, and then there's film school, which is the actual one, the first one you try to do for real. And so you're really seeing basically my freshman and sophomore runs in this, and we probably came back to it and shot over the course of about 5 years or so, and you can actually probably tell through the course of it the progression from shooting on Sony camcorders to the DSLR movement through the course of this film. You could see our filmmaking as a team kind of evolve through this project. And it really sat on a shelf for a while before we had time to come back to it and really flesh it out. And so it's exciting to be able to show it off and see it on a big screen, and for all its faults and everything, hopefully we were able to accomplish. So yeah.
Do we have any specific questions from the audience for the filmmakers? Yes.
So in your movie, the bodies in the swimming pool, was he just seeing those, or did he drown them, or they died, or they were there, or I don't understand that part.
So that's basically the idea with the bodies in the pool was came from this side. Most of the imagery has some connection to loneliness and a feeling of loss, and the fact that his great love was lost in water in the bathtub, and then the loss of his connection to the outside world in general. There's if you go to poemsfromthedust.com, we actually have some supporting written material that you can go through and read that adds a little more extra story. There's kind of a trail of breadcrumbs there, so there is more to Isaac's story, and you can kind of go and investigate that. And so we wanted it to be kind of a multifaceted project, and we were experimenting with narrative and how can you say a poem totally visually, and so that was kind of our experiment. So, yeah.
Thank you.
We had another question right over there.
The horror scenes in Dan's movie were really scary, and I was just wondering the sound design with the lady coming in, who did that, or how did you do the sound design on that?
So interesting. This is so that whole section was part of our freshman go, and our sound got totally annihilated. So everything that happens in the Hill Country, the entire Hill Country sequence, all the sound design was built from the ground up. So we had to do everything in post as far as sound design, and we knew that we wanted the bone cracking noises to be the tell of her in the house with him, and so it was really a group of us sitting around. We were doing Foley design, and we were racking our brains trying to figure out how to make that sound and how to make it convincing, and what ended up being Philip James was our sound designer on that. He's not a sound designer by trade. He's actually an amazing VFX artist who now works doing video game design. He makes fire for video game design stuff. But at the time, genius, he had a little corgi. And what we did was we fed the corgi dried spaghetti and recorded the back of its head. And so, and just let him gnaw on the spaghetti, and we recorded the back of his skull, and it created the very unsettling, bone crunching noises.
Very convincing.
Question in the back.
Yes, sir. For you as well, the child in your story, I never really put that connection together between. Was it like a younger version of himself as a boy that was kind of observing his faults as?
That is a very interesting interpretation of the material, sir. I like that. That was very good.
But yeah, just wondering, was that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. That was it. I'm sorry.
While we're on the subject of sound design and effects and that kind of thing, I think an experiment that anyone can do with just about any film is to watch it with the sound off, and you'll realize pretty quickly how much is added to the film by the sound effects and the music and the mood that is generated by having the right sound.
I
added
think
to
both
it.
of our films, if they put Benny Hill music in the background, it would have been very different vibe, right?
Very different.
I agree, very much so.
Any other questions?
Is there a backstory to the family in Stay Calm that the Mombi comes from?
The short answer is no. We needed a tag. We needed a family or someone to become zombies to come around in the end.
Also, it was like a surprise mombi. Remember, you had someone else cast.
I know. We actually we had someone else who unfortunately we had to let go the day of, and our lovely makeup artist, who is also a professional actress. I was like, can you play the Mombi also? I know you've got a lot. So she was like doing her own. Luckily, we had a makeup assistant for you.
Yeah.
But she was running around like a Mombi with her head cut off, just doing makeup on everyone, plus acting and screaming her heart out. Right? But yeah, there was no real backstory. Sorry to let you down. I can make one up.
That was a great backstory.
Another question out there? Yeah.
Well, both films are so different, but they both deal with like self-doubt and insecurity. Did you find it like therapeutic part, not only directing but also acting in them, or was it like triggering or exacerbating at all?
I don't know about you, but it's always a little nerve-wracking when you're in your own film. I was fortunate enough to have Connor. I mean, we were both in it, so we put a lot of weight on the cinematographer and our storyboards to make sure that we were kind of hoping that we got what because there's just not time to watch playback when you're shooting. We shot that in 4 days in Joshua Tree. And they were long days, so you just kind of hope that you got what you get, that you wanted. And I guess this one was because it was more just sort of a fiction story for me. It wasn't as cathartic in the same way as my last one, which was more personal, like yours. Yeah, but I guess there is a sense of catharsis in regards to telling a theme that you feel is that you feel a lot about, that you're passionate about, which for me is, the whole world is completely reactionary, and they fly off the handle for every little emotion, and I think. If everyone learned to meditate or do yoga, we would all be a little bit more peaceful.
Absolutely. Well, the performances were on point, and I kind of felt the same way. Like it had to come from a real place because it was really, really good. So you could feel that connection between the three. So we very, very much enjoyed it. But as far as I don't know. I don't really think about that too much. I think if I did, I probably would never make anything. There's definitely, as you were saying, there's definitely themes that I wanted to explore, and it's impossible, especially if I'm going to write it, for me not to use bits of myself and people I know and experiences I've had and seen, and that stuff's going to get imprinted on it regardless. And so. Yeah, I'm learning with you about myself. No, it's an exploration, and so we just kind of see where it goes. I can't really say there was any kind of particular catharsis. Probably mostly just because making a film is so brutal. The process is so brutal that by the time you're done with it. I think there's kind of a disconnect, that it's really hard to watch it and, you'll never see it with fresh eyes. So it's important for me that when it's there and put it up there, it doesn't really feel like mine anymore. It's time to move on to the next one. So.
Do you have anything you'd like to add?
It was really cathartic being a mom bee, chasing Sam around.
Yeah, she was crying the whole time.
Yeah.
It seemed cathartic.
Another question.
Yeah, I have a question about the continuity of makeup in Stay Calm. Did you do all of your stuff on the same day, or did you have to match it from? You said you did it over 4 days, so like when you were doing makeup on yourself, and what was it like to match, or did you have to? Was it all done on the same day?
My stuff was all done on the same night. Like I had earlier in the day, I had done like with just the mom in the car, which was super minimal. But I just basically got all of the other actors ready, and then went and got myself ready and had our makeup assistant doing retouches on set and like standing by adding blood. Because it was like the scene where the young zombie attacks Sam. So she was standing by for that and watching that and doing resets and stuff for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that was all pretty much, all the zombies were pretty much all in one day. So,
Yeah, we got them all set, but we had to reset like all the blood stuff, if somebody got blood all over them, then we had to do the shot again, we'd have to reset all of that. It was a lot of blood that we used.
I believe I saw a shot of maybe a syringe squirting blood on across the face or something like that?
Maybe. I remember what it was. Do you remember what it was?
Oh no.
It was paintbrushes.
With the hammerhead?
Oh yeah, we're at
Yeah.
paintbrushes and I was like flicking
It
blood
was
up
like,
on your
I
face.
think it was you,
Yeah.
and then our makeup assistant, and then one other person all at the same time.
Flicking blood
Just
up.
flicking it out,
Yeah. When you were hitting the girl with the hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The zombie designs were very, very cool.
Thank you. That was like Sam's brain, but I executed for sure.
She did a great job.
Any other questions? Thank you all for being here this
Thank you for
evening.
having us.
And
Thanks for
we
having
really
us.
enjoyed your film. Hopefully, you'll have some more for us for the next festival and or future festivals. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.